Hello guys, welcome to the movie recap review. Happy watching.
Hi, Matthew. Why because of me?
Jennifer Hills, a short story writer, embarks on a journey from her residence in New York City to an isolated lakeside cottage in the rural expanse of upstate New York. Her purpose is to delve into the creation of her inaugural novel. The arrival of this alluring and self-reliant young writer in the small town captures the attention of Johnny, the proprietor of the local gas station. Alongside him are his companions Stanley and Andy, two unemployed youths who frequent the gas station. During her stay, Jennifer forms a connection with Matthew, a local with a modest intellect and apparent social shyness. Despite his perceived mental limitations, Jennifer befriends Matthew, who happens to be acquaintances with the trio of men. In a twist, Matthew relays information about Jennifer to the others, falsely asserting that he caught a glimpse of her exposed breasts during a grocery delivery. The following day, Stanley and Andy cruise around the cottage in their speedboat, prowling around the premises while Jennifer writes her novel on her swing. Due to the noise created by the speedboat, Jennifer had no choice but to go back to her cottage. The next day, while Jennifer is peacefully canoeing, they surprise her with their speedboat and tow her ashore. Attempting to flee, Jennifer is confronted by Johnny, with Matthew secretly observing from nearby bushes. It becomes evident that they orchestrated her abduction in a misguided attempt for Matthew to lose his virginity. Jennifer fiercely resists, delivering a punch to Johnny. Despite her struggle, the men persist. Jennifer's attempts to evade them prove futile, and Johnny, fueled by sinister intent, forcibly removes her bikini and commits on his urge. After allowing her a brief escape, they swiftly track her down, and Andy subjects her to a brutal back-hole penetration. Once again, Matthew refuses to partake in the horrifying ordeal. The assailants hastily retreat from the crime scene, making their getaway in the speedboat. Subsequently, after Jennifer manages to crawl back to her house, the assailants launch another brutal attack. Under the influence of alcohol, Matthew finally succumbs to peer pressure and tries to penetrate her, but hesitates due to discomfort with the other men watching. During this horrific ordeal, the men mock Jennifer's literary efforts, tearing apart her manuscript. Stanley further inflicts damage on Jennifer. He then takes it further into savage beating, triggering the other men to stop him and leave the house. Covered in mud from the woods and her own blood, she collapses on the floor, losing consciousness. As the men depart the scene, Johnny discerns Jennifer as a potential witness to their heinous acts and commands Matthew to return and fatally stab her. Struggling with his conscience, Matthew is unable to carry out the gruesome act. Instead, he smears the knife with Jennifer's blood and deceitfully informs the others that he has executed her. The four perpetrators then hastily flee the premises in their speedboat. In the ensuing weeks, Jennifer, grappling with profound trauma, painstakingly reconstructs both her physical and emotional self along with her manuscript. Marked by permanent scars and bruises from the savage beating, she quietly inhabits her home, engaging in chain smoking and purposefully avoiding mirrors to evade the sight of her altered visage. Seeking solace, she visits a church, beseeching for forgiveness and making a solemn vow to exact revenge on the four men who subjected her to unspeakable violence. Amidst her quest for healing, news of Jennifer's survival reaches the assailants, leading them to discover Matthew's deceit about her demise. In response, they administer a brutal beating to Matthew for lying to them about carrying out the fatal act against Jennifer. Determined to pursue justice, Jennifer initiates her quest by discreetly observing her assailants. Initially, she observes Matthew from the local grocery store to ensure that he's still delivering orders. Gathering intel on his surroundings, she waits for Johnny as he arrives to his residence, revealing a domestic life with a wife and two young children. In a meticulously planned move, Jennifer places a grocery order, anticipating that Matthew will be the one to deliver it. Recognizing the address as Jennifer's, Matthew takes the groceries along with a knife he purloins from the store's butcher, uncertain of Jennifer's intentions. Upon reaching the cabin, Jennifer lures Matthew into an intimate encounter under a tree. Seizing the opportunity, she deftly places a noose around his neck, and as he becomes engrossed in the moment, she proceeds to hang him. Witnessing Matthew's futile struggles, Jennifer maintains a chilling expression as she slowly strangles him to death. With the deed done, she cuts the rope and releases the lifeless body into the river. Disposing of any evidence, she pushes Matthew's bicycle and the groceries into the water. Following her calculated actions, Jennifer contacts the grocery store, reporting that Matthew never arrived with her order, leaving no trace of her vengeful act. The following day, Jennifer takes matters into her own hands by driving to the gas station. With a seductive allure, she persuades Johnny to join her in her car. Midway to her house, she pulls over, steps out of the vehicle, and brandishes a gun, instructing Johnny to strip off all his clothing. In a twisted display of victim blaming, Johnny, a clear misogynist, insists that the assaults were somehow Jennifer's fault, contending that her choice of revealing clothing had enticed the men. Feigning acceptance of Johnny's absurd justification, Jennifer momentarily lowers her gun and pretends to believe his skewed perspective. Seizing the opportunity, she extends an unexpected invitation, luring him back to her cottage under the guise of a hot bath. As they share an intimate moment, she manually stimulates him, leaving Johnny engrossed in the moment. Seizing the opportunity, Jennifer reveals a shocking truth, that she was responsible for Matthew's disappearance. However, Johnny dismisses it as a jest. As Johnny approaches climax, Jennifer retrieves the butcher knife Matthew had brought from its concealed spot beneath the bath mat. In a swift and calculated move, she severs Johnny's genitals, prompting screams of terror as he begins to bleed profusely. Unperturbed, Jennifer calmly drops the bloodied knife into the bathroom sink, exits the room, and locks Johnny inside from the outside. Left to succumb to blood loss, Johnny meets his demise. Jennifer disposes of Johnny's lifeless body in the basement, erasing any trace of her retribution. She further ensures her secrecy by burning his clothes in the fireplace. In the wake of Johnny's disappearance, Stanley and Andy, suspecting Jennifer's involvement, head to her cabin in their speedboat. Andy, armed with an axe, goes ashore to confront Jennifer, unaware that she has already swum out to the boat. Seizing the moment, Jennifer climbs aboard, catching Stanley off guard. Swiftly, she pushes him overboard, and Stanley, struggling in the water due to his limited swimming skills, finds himself in jeopardy. As Andy attempts to attack Jennifer from the shore, she skillfully maneuvers the boat, eluding his efforts. Andy then tries to save Stanley but immediately retreats when he saw the boat rushing towards them, leaving Stanley behind. Jennifer, armed with the axe, deals a fatal blow to Andy, plunging the weapon into his back. She then backs the boat towards Stanley, who desperately clings to the motor, pleading for his life. Instead of granting mercy, Jennifer, with a chilling smile, recalls Stanley's own demeaning words during her assault. She starts the engine, submerging Stanley underwater and gruesomely disemboweling him. As the lifeless bodies of Andy and Stanley sink beneath the water's surface, Jennifer, now the orchestrator of her own form of justice, departs with a subtle smile, leaving behind the dark remnants of her revenge on the waves.
And that's the end of the story. I hope you liked it. Comment down below what movies do you like us to recap next. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time.